Okay, so for my first video that I'm having explaining my research and who I am, I wanted to start off with talking a little bit about my background and also talking about the background of my research and a couple of the concepts that have been a driving principle for my dissertation and what I'm trying to do with my research. So first, a little bit about me. I am a special education teacher. I've been teaching special education for 10 years. Prior to being a special education teacher, I was a paraprofessional in a special education classroom. I got my master's out in Massachusetts in special education while I was a paraprofessional. I live in Chicago now. And I've taught in a variety of classrooms. I've taught in school designed specifically for students with autism. That is like a completely separate school. I've taught in self-contained classrooms that are located within a public high school. And I've also taught co-taught classrooms, which are classrooms that are taught by both a special and a general education teacher simultaneously to help support the needs of students with disabilities. One of the things that through this all experience that I became very interested in was the collaboration between special and general education teachers. One of the things that I am a big believer in special education is the inclusion of students with disabilities, not just in meaning educating students in the same space, but having students with disabilities be a part of the actual fabric of the school, be truly included in the school community and not separated off into another realm, it feels like, which has historically happened to students with disabilities. So I became interested in the collaboration between special and general education teachers because I really felt that it would be the job of both groups of teachers to make that happen. It can't just be the general education teachers. It can't just be the special education teachers. It has to be both. So after a while of teaching, I decided to get a doctorate, and that collaboration between special education and general education teachers is where I am researching as part of my dissertation for my doctorate. And I want to give a little bit of background on that, and as part of that, there's like really two important concepts that I wanted to talk about in this video really briefly. The first is that what the research literature shows about special education is that the outcomes for students with disabilities are improved when special and general education teachers both feel responsible for the outcomes of all students that are put in front of them. That means that special education teachers feel responsible for not just the special education students they encounter throughout the day, but also the general education students as well, and vice versa with general education teachers, where they feel just as responsible for the outcomes for students with disabilities as they do for the students that do not have disabilities. And the research literature is pretty clear on that. That's what's required. That is a necessary step in supporting students with disabilities. However, the research literature also shows that this frequently does not happen. What happens often is that students with disabilities and students without disabilities are often siloed from one another, even when they're in the same classroom. What often happens is that special education teachers only feel responsible for the students that have disabilities, and vice versa with the general education teachers, who only feel responsible for the education of students that do not have disabilities. And what the research literature shows is that is bad for students with disabilities in particular. They really need the supports of both groups of teachers. They need the expertise of both groups of teachers in order to make the best and most progress that they can. So that's a little bit of background on my research. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm hoping to accomplish through my research, is really developing a bridge between special and general education teachers, so that way they can provide the best and most inclusive supports for students with disabilities as possible. Will it be perfect? Will there be challenges along the way? Yeah, I'm sure there will. But that's the goal. So if this is a topic that interests you, please consider giving me a follow, like, or subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. I'm going to try to answer as many questions that I can, any comments that I can, and stay tuned for more. Thank you.